Okay, so Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the new HBO Game of Thrones spin-off series is here. It's coming. What books are kind of capturing the same energy, the same style as Knight of the Seven Kingdoms? What can you do to prepare? I'm here to recommend you some books that are kind of in that same vein, as well as just some books you can read to kind of prepare yourself. If you're so excited you want to just dive in already, these books will all give you a great head start on Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Okay, so my first recommendation here is an easy one. It is the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms book, The Tales of Dunk and Egg. And this is actually a 3-book series of novellas that includes The Hedge Knight, The Sworn Sword, and The Mystery Knight. They follow Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire Egg, and this is the source material of the spin-off. It seems like the show itself is going to combine a lot of these books together. It's set 90 years roughly before the main Game of Thrones trilogy, and it has no real substantial connection to the main series of books. You don't need to have read all of Game of Thrones to read this series. They're quick read. You can read one of these in just a day, one of the novellas. So now I wanted to give some recommendations that are not just strictly within the Game of Thrones universe. I wanted to recommend some books, fantasy books, that kind of capture the energy of the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and the source material. Now, what's important to understand about the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is this is not a top-level kind of kingdom-shaking series. It's kind of like a smaller scale about the knights rather than the leadership, rather than the kings that are at play in the Game of Thrones series. There's so much politicking, and obviously that's a part of these stories as well, but it's not nearly as high level in terms of the scale and the scope of what's happening here. So I wanted to recommend some books that kind of capture that energy. So I'll start with The Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. This is a gritty, mud and blood series all about the Middle Ages. It is a retelling of the King Arthur fable, and what I really like about it is brutal. It is credited a lot with providing a realistic view into the Middle Ages. There's no romanticizing it. The idea is that it's not clear throughout this whether magic is in fact real. One of my favorite parts about this is what an electric prick of a character they make Merlin out to be. He is manipulative, he's sarcastic, he is obsessed with the idea of prophecy. He's just not like a kind, nice wizard. He's more like a brilliant maniac. And I love that about how they depict him in the series. So check out this book if you're somebody who's interested in something a little more grounded, a little bit more about the common people than about the kings themselves. This book kind of captures that. Next up, The Black Company by Glenn Cook. Now, these books are part of a longer series, a 10 to 11 book series. I've only read the first couple of them. People say that generally the first 3 are the ones to read. It's all about a mercenary company trying to survive these very powerful and often evil rulers. This is about soldiers, about leadership. It's about interpersonal dynamics, rivalries, and revenge. It's not something that's going to be large-scale dragons and dragons and kingdoms kind of stuff. But the first 3 books are very, very good. They're tight, they're really brutal, and they move very quickly. There is not a ton of world building in the same way that the Lord of the Rings books and maybe the Game of Thrones books kind of have. They're more action fast-paced, and if that's maybe not for you, that's just something to keep in mind as you're looking for these kind of books. But again, very quick moving. I'm not a big fantasy guy, but I did enjoy these books. Finally, The Long Ships by Franz G. Bengtsson. This is a Swedish series. It's episodic. It's very hilarious at times. In particular, there's a character here that is a priest who cannot stop attracting women. Who hasn't been there, I guess. The humor is dry and there's often absurd situations, but it's also mixed in with a lot of real violence and danger. It is a translation, so there can be some, I guess, snafus with that, but just keep in mind that if you are somebody who's open to the humor of this book, to the absurdity of violence highlighted by humor, The Long Ships is a great fit. So it's weird, charming, violent, a really breezy kind of read that you will find yourself laughing at various points if you stick with it. Okay, so that does it for us. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more of these videos. Until later, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye now.